September, we begin eclipse season. This is an intense period of beginnings and endings. Inwardly, outwardly, emotionally, it affects our lives and society's lives that we live in. It begins on the full moon, lunar eclipse on September 7th, and ends on the 21st of September with the new moon solar eclipse. This 2-week period is extremely intense. There's a lot of changes that occur. Usually there are earth changes, there are earthquakes, and we could have solar energies coming in from space weather. There's also a time when geopolitically the energies intensify and there is likely new conflicts beginning, old conflicts ending, coming to a conclusion. This period does go longer than just this 2 weeks. It is, I would say it's from September 1st to the end of September that we will be in these energies of the eclipses. So how does this influence and affect the crypto market? This eclipse season begins with the full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces at 15 degrees. We are on the Pisces-Virgo axis of these eclipses. Pisces is water, Virgo is earth. This is emotional and mental at the same time. It's stirring up the emotions, stirring up changes to our everyday lives. The lunar eclipse is a north node eclipse, meaning the moon is next to the north node. Now, this is a full moon, and full moons signal endings. With the north node next to the moon, that is signaling an ending of one cycle and beginning a new cycle. The nodes are at 18 degrees. This is a very critical degree, and I've spoken on this before. These 18 and 22 degrees signal endings, sudden endings. Now, for the crypto market, this could be ending one cycle, beginning and starting a new cycle, ending one pattern and beginning a new pattern in the actual markets. The positive of this lunar eclipse is that the moon will be trine to Jupiter. It's in a positive aspect and could allow or be a cause for the crescendo of this current cycle that we are in. Jupiter is also trining to the north node, so this could be a positive period. Again, it could be the signaling of the ending of the price cycle that we are in. Something to be aware of, and I've done research on this, on crashes and market all-time highs, is that Mars is a big factor in all of this, causing crashes, causing all-time highs. It is squaring to Jupiter during this eclipse. Saturn is at 29 degrees. Uranus is at 1 degree. Neptune is at 1. Pluto is at 1 degree. This has also been a pattern that outer planets have been at the very end or the very beginning of a sign. And we also have the nodes and Lilith both at 18 degrees. This was a minor factor in looking at crashes and all-time highs, but we can't rule anything out here. What this could be signaling is, again, as I said, the ending of the price cycle that we are currently in. And when I say the ending, it could be a strong increase in market price before we have a sudden release, decrease, or fall of prices to start a new cycle when the solar eclipse begins, because the solar eclipse does have some characteristics of a coming crash or potential strong downward market price. But I could see that the solar eclipse is the start of a new price cycle that we're going into. For the lunar eclipse on the 7th of September, I do see this as possibly having a positive influence on the market. Now, Saturn will be next to Neptune. Okay, the eclipses back in the end of March, Saturn and Neptune were next to each other, but they were also next to the North Node. They are not next to the North Node in this eclipse. So this could be the ending of those eclipses that we had back in March. We do remember April 2nd, we had that huge market crash. This could be tying up all those loose ends from that time period. We've had some all-time highs since then. And I do feel that this could be the signaling of the ending of this current price cycle from March through to this period. Now, we could have a crash here as well on this solar eclipse, this lunar eclipse, because that has happened in the past. And with Mars here squaring to Jupiter, even though Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are all in positive aspects to each other, Mars here could be the driving factor of prices shooting up and then a sudden downturn in the markets. This is a very volatile period from the 7th through the 21st. Anything can happen, but I do see the solar eclipse on the 7th being more of a positive period for the market before we have a reset in the cycle. Leading up to this time period, we have a few things occurring. September the 6th, Uranus will station retrograde. Now, this is important. Uranus stationing retrograde signal, and this is the day before the eclipse. So anything that can happen will happen in crypto, and Uranus will make sure of that. And what I mean by this is the markets could be looking strong, moving up, and then all of a sudden there is a crash, or does something that comes tumbling down with the prices. That's why it is hard to determine if this is going to be all positive or all negative, because there's other factors that have to be taken into account. And Uranus retrograde will be a huge factor, and it's also at 1 degree of Gemini. Very beginning, very starting of something new, but it's moving backwards, so it's going over something again. And I do really feel that this lunar eclipse will be the crescendo, the final chapter, the final stage, the final scene in the current price cycle that we are in. The eclipses are strong, sudden, energetic movements and periods for the markets, all financial markets. To caution error on the safe side of what I'm saying, this will be a strong period of market movement. From the 1st of September, I would look out for prices to really start to move strongly in one direction or another. Very volatile because the prices will change suddenly and abruptly. Trading during this time period could be profitable, but you need to watch the charts and the markets and stare at them, because anything can happen within a second. And with this eclipse coming up, it's emotional. It's in the sign of Pisces. The traders' emotions are influencing this cycle, this eclipse period. So if things happen in the news, in the world, that will influence the traders and then in turn influence the prices. So to get an idea of how the prices are going to move, it is a good idea to look at the news. What is going on in the world? Are there wars starting? Are there wars ending? Are monetary systems having issues? Interest rates increasing? Are they decreasing? What is going on in the world will be a major factor in how these eclipses play out. And usually there is large amounts of news during this time period. I would say from September 1st through the end of the month, we will have a major news cycles, news events occurring. In Bitcoin's chart, on the actual eclipse, we have the sun and the moon both in very good conversations to Bitcoin's sun. That's a good indicator. Usually that's one of the first indicators I would look at. We also have Saturn exact sextile, having a good exact conversation with Bitcoin's Jupiter. It's at 29 degrees. And on the 9th, we have Jupiter in a trine to Bitcoin's Uranus. This is also very positive. This will likely be influencing this eclipse as well. That's another reason why we could have positive trend in prices. Now, Positive aspects do not always mean that the market's going to move in a positive direction, and I have learned that over time. Learned that looking at the charts, looking at these transits. With Uranus stationed retrograde now, as this eclipse is occurring, anything can happen. Anything can happen. So just you have to be prepared for the unexpected to occur. I guess a word of advice would be, not financial advice, do not get comfortable with any trends during this month. Things will change suddenly and unexpectedly. On the actual eclipse itself, the North Node will be in a trine to Lilith. This is positive. It's at 18 degrees, so it's at that critical degree. Think of it as like a vindictive type of energy. I'm going to say it could be very extremely positive. This lunar eclipse, like I said, and I keep repeating myself, I do see this as more of a positive of the two eclipses. If you are interested in purchasing this report, I will leave links in the description below, and you can read all about everything that I've written about this price cycle, this eclipse moon cycle of August the 23rd through September the 20th. This eclipse, lunar eclipse, carries a spiritual, otherworldly energy, signaling the ending of old realities. And those ending of old realities for people and traders will influence the prices. The emotions will highly influence the market movement during this whole entire eclipse season. Emotions drive the market. Neptune and Pluto and Uranus at 1 degree is powerful new beginnings, and Saturn retrograde at 29 degrees is powerful endings. It's back in the sign of Pisces where this eclipse is happening. I did write that Saturn is sextile to Bitcoin's Jupiter. Mars is squaring to Jupiter. Possible price surge before a crash. The eclipse could be the surge before the crash, and the new price cycle begins during the solar eclipse. And I did also note that expect either a market crash or strong run up, major cycle shift ahead. Market reactions will reveal the direction. So moving on to the solar eclipse. The day before this eclipse happens, there are some challenging transits occurring, and I feel that this is also going to strongly influence this solar eclipse on the 21st. We have Venus trine to Bitcoin's Pluto. That is positive. In the general charts, we have Venus squaring to Uranus. This is also powerful, strong. This could be the sudden volatile. Mercury is also opposite to Bitcoin's moon. Very emotional trading is occurring here. Very, very emotional, and that could be due to events occurring in the world, especially with Venus squaring to Uranus. It's at 1 degree. It's something starting new, maybe a new conflict beginning somewhere in the world. New values are changing. Value systems are changing. Technological events could occur that are giving a sudden shift in people's values. Whatever it is, it's going to be sudden, strong, dramatic, and emotional. This is the day before this solar eclipse. Solar eclipse is a bit more challenging than the lunar eclipse. This happens on September 21st at 3:43 p.m. This is Eastern Standard Time, so adjust your times accordingly if you're in a different part of the world. Now, there's a kite pattern occurring in the charts, and this kite pattern will be occurring leading up to the solar eclipse. So during these kite patterns, it signals challenges in prices. It usually restricts the price movement in the markets. During the eclipse, the sun and the moon will be exactly opposite to Saturn. This is very challenging. This is one of the reasons why I also say that the solar eclipse will be the start of a new price cycle. And when I say that, I mean that prices could be significantly lowered versus from prices on the lunar eclipse on the 7th. And also the north node, this is a south node eclipse, meaning the south node is next to the sun and the moon. So this is more of a challenging omen, we'll say. Mars will be squaring to Pluto. That is also very challenging. It's challenging the world. It's challenging geopolitical events. It is challenging. Saturn opposite the sun and the moon. Neptune is also here opposite the sun and the moon. I do see this as a challenging period for the 21st. Now, I have not looked further into this cycle of the 21st through October. So I'm just looking at this new moon solar eclipse. Sun and the moon are also next to Mercury. Mercury is in Libra. This eclipse will happen in Bitcoin's 9th house. People's views of cryptos could also be changing. The crypto market as we know it is in a state of change. There's new laws being written involving crypto. Governments, countries are beginning to look at crypto more as more of a monetary vehicle. So therefore, the crypto market and how crypto is viewed is being changed. And this could be further enhanced on this eclipse. This could be positive. This could be challenging. When things are going through a period of change, there's always some challenges that occur within these periods because you're letting go of old things, beginning new things, and it's usually a turbulent period. We could have more rules and regulations being placed on the crypto market to evolve with governments, for crypto to evolve with governments, or governments to evolve with crypto, however you want to see that. But this could be a period of restriction in the markets as well because of maybe new laws, rules, and regulations being put on the crypto market. How people interact with crypto, how crypto is interacting with governments and the monetary policies. New verbiage could be created for new laws, rules, and regulations. I know in the Genius Act there are some questionable verbiage, and I do see the crypto moving towards a hybrid system, not just decentralized slash centralized. And this could be further enhancing that centralized slash decentralized movement. It'd be very interesting to see where the crypto market is when the next eclipse season begins next year. But for this eclipse season, I do see this lunar eclipse, solar eclipse on the 21st as a challenging period, also because the sun and the moon are at the ending degrees of Virgo. New moons signal beginnings. I see this one as new beginnings by letting go of the old. So we have to let go of the old to give way to new beginnings. It'll be a very extremely volatile time period, very emotional, unpredictable type of energy that we are entering into starting on September 1st through the end of September. Do not get comfortable with trading patterns this cycle because it is going to change rapidly and intensely. As our emotions grow and react to surrounding situations, so will the markets and the prices and the movements of the markets due to our emotions. Again, if you are interested in reading this report, see the link in the description below. It is on my Patreon. I also do personal astrology readings, and if you are interested in that, click on the link and schedule a free 15-minute discovery session. I hope you guys enjoy. Have a safe and wonderful eclipse season. Like, subscribe, and share.
Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody